All right, let's jump right into this explainer of a profoundly moving musical and emotional journey, a piece of art that literally took over a decade to forge. We're talking about track 13, The Final Recollection. It's a deeply personal tribute written for the artist's grandma, Tules. And the context here is just fascinating. It was 13 years in the making, finally wrapped up and scheduled for release on a very specific date, July 3rd, 2026. Why that date? It's exactly Grandma Tules' birthday. So the structure of this song isn't just poetry, it's this intricate mathematical and spiritual puzzle, and we're going to unpack the whole shebang right now. To truly grasp what's going on here, we absolutely have to start with a number that anchors the entire narrative, 13. In a lot of cultures, 13 gets a bad rap. It seems unlucky, right? But this artist totally reclaims it. He turns it into this powerful symbol of completion, patience, and just enduring love. It's literally the engine driving the timeline of this entire project. Just look at this lyric, 13 years of heavy rain. It perfectly sets the stage, pulling us directly into the massive emotional weight of the artist's grief over losing his grandmother. He doesn't just say, hey, I missed her for 13 years. No, he calls it 13 years of heavy rain. That specific imagery, it evokes this constant, unyielding storm of mourning. It tells us right out of the gate that this track is the culmination of a very long, very difficult emotional winter. Moving into Section 1, The Weight of Grief, a missed final goodbye. So in these opening lines, the artist actually addresses Grandma Tules directly. He's lamenting a missed final goodbye, a guilt that he says grips his soul like the turn of a vice. But amidst all this heavy grief, he recalls her core defining lesson. It's this beautiful idea that a troubled, broken past doesn't have to rule your destiny. She taught him that even if you're born from darkness, well, you still have a choice. You can forge your own path. And this is absolutely crucial because it establishes Grandma Tules as way more than just a beloved family member. She's really the guiding philosopher for his entire life. And man, she wasn't just wise, she was incredibly tough. The artist notes her resilience by pointing out that she went toe-to-toe with cancer and won. 3 separate times. 3 victories against an unimaginable opponent. I mean, wow. This detail just builds immense respect for her character, doesn't it? She was a fighter in the truest sense of the word. Which leads us to this lyric. It brilliantly illustrates his poetic reframing of her passing. Because she was such a fierce fighter, he doesn't view her eventual death as a loss to the disease. Actually, he uses this boxing metaphor instead. She won 3 rounds, but by the 4th, she wasn't defeated. Actually, scratch that, it's more like she was just an exhausted champion who finally decided it was time to go home. It's such a dignified, beautiful way to honor her final moments, even while he admits that, yeah, he still feels a profound pain. All right, let's shift to Section 2, the cosmic alignment, when numbers speak. Here's where things get really wild. The artist's profound pain begins to shift into pure awe. He describes sitting in silence, mourning the time he missed with her, when suddenly, the numbers in his life just start to speak to him. They reveal these connections that he says literally make his knees feel weak. The number 5 suddenly pops up as this eerie, undeniable connection between the end of his grandmother's life and the beginning of his son's. When you start to actually map out the math of his family's history, the coincidences are almost too perfect to ignore. Just take a look at this timeline. The timing is almost unbelievable. Grandma Tules passed away on March 9th. That is exactly 5 months before her birthday, which is July 3rd, okay? Then his son, Zayden, is born on July 1st, which is exactly 5 months after she passed away. And because Zayden was born on July 1st, he missed sharing his great-grandma's actual July 3rd birthday by a mere 2 days. It's just a striking chronological symmetry. So the crucial point here is this kind of cosmic handoff in the dark. Picture this. The artist is sitting alone in his car, crying over the 13-year haze of missing her, only to realize that the timing of this new life, his son Zayden, is intrinsically tied to the life that was just lost. He describes it as not knowing that the very spirit he was mourning was the one greeting his newborn son. Just wow. Let's dig into Section 3, The Promise of Lost Patas, a cultural folklore. Now this is where the emotional core of the song manifests right in the physical world. To understand this, we've got to define las patas. It's this classic Mexican cultural warning, or kind of a playful threat, that a ghost or spirit will visit you in the middle of the night and, well, pull you by your feet. Now, Grandma Tules made a very specific, unforgettable promise to him using this Las Patas secret. She playfully told him that if he cried for her after she was gone, she'd come while he was deep in sleep and pull his feet. And amazingly, we learn that the artist's son, Zayden, has developed this very specific, really quirky habit. Whenever the artist is up late, crying through the heavy rain of these tracks over the last 13 years, his son Zayden will wake up and actually yank his father's feet in the night. It completely stops the artist's pain in its tracks because Zayden is doing the exact thing the grandmother promised she would do. Look at this perfect alignment side by side. On one hand, a spiritual promise made by Grandma Tules, and on the other, it's manifesting as the physical habit of her great-grandson, Zayden. It's like the spirit of the grandmother is living directly through the son. It keeps their connection incredibly tight and proves to the artist that she really never left his side. Which brings us to Section 4, a legacy completed. The storm finally breaks. Here, all of it. The pain, the poetic boxing metaphors, the astonishing numerology, it all comes to an absolute stunning resolution. The heavy rain finally breaks. And guys, the synchronicities here are staggering. Zayden is turning 13 this exact year. The album is finally completed in its 13th year of production. Zayden was born at exactly 1:13 p.m., and this song is the 13th track on the album. After 13 years of continually updating the count of his grief, the artist realizes the numbers have aligned perfectly. The count just stops right here. Remember that turn of a vice from earlier? The one gripping his soul with guilt and sorrow. Well, because of these undeniable signs, from the math all the way to the yanking of his feet, he's now officially traded that suffocating pain for a clear heart. He clearly states that the recollections are over, and that means the agonizing process of looking backward is done. He literally has nothing left to fear. So the ultimate takeaway of this explainer and this beautiful track is that the grandmother's final battle, that exhausted fourth round, wasn't a tragic end at all. It was simply a change of the guard. It was a generational handoff to her great-grandson Zayden. He sees her in the boy, from his little feet right up to his smile, realizing she has walked with him through every single mile of his life. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this thought to consider in your own life. Look at the seemingly random numbers, the family habits, the little coincidences. What legacies from the past are quietly walking with you, just waiting for you to notice the connections? Because as this artist so brilliantly showed us today, a legacy written from the heart never truly ends. Thanks for hanging out with me, and keep looking for those connections.